Actually, I believe we're on page 143. Afilu achar shitchil hitatef betalit. Even after a person began to wrap himself in his talit, lo yafsik bedibur, he should not interrupt by speaking ad shisayem ha'atifa v'yorid ha'talit al gufo. He should not speak until he finishes wrapping himself and puts the talit down on his body. Avram, can you maybe grab me a book, please? It's on the bookcase to the left of the Aron Kodesh. Yeah? You see those red books on the bottom shelf? The first one on the right. Thank you. It says Aleph on it. Thank you so much. You can sit right here, by the way. Okay. Uv diavad. And if after the fact, im hifsik b'dibur, if a person spoke, afilu kodem shesiyem nitlev b'talit, even before he finished wrapping himself up, kol shehiniach kvar hatalit al rosho, once a person puts the talit on his head, eino chozer u'mvarech, he does not go back and make the blessing. Okay, so even though you should not interrupt, if a person does interrupt, once the talit is on his head, even if he started the wrapping, it's okay. Do what again? Right, that would be if you talk in the middle of the blessing, or after the blessing, before you do the mitzvah. Here we're talking about he made a blessing, he started doing the mitzvah by putting the talit on his head, but he didn't finish the mitzvah and he started talking. So over there, we said that a person doesn't have to go back. So on page 144, in the middle of the page, V'im be'odo mitatef betalit, and if a person is still wrapping himself up in his talit, terem horadat talit al gufo, before he puts the talit down on his body, so he's in a middle situation. He started with the talit, but he didn't finish it. Now, Shema Bracha, here's a blessing, or Kaddish, or Kedusha, or Baruch. What does the person do then? Do you answer? Because you're only allowed to interrupt, I mean, you're only allowed to continue without a blessing in a non-ideal situation. Here, though, you kind of get caught, and you can make a choice. Are you quiet and don't answer? Or do you answer and put yourself in a non-ideal situation?
Can you do both? Like, continue to wrapping yourself and barahu?
Right, but sometimes it's a matter of time. You have to, like, especially it depends what shul you're praying at, but by the time you might finish rapping, they might be home already. Depends where.
Well, it depends on if you're following the Ashkenaz or the Sephardic custom.
How long it takes.
Just joking.
Tzarich la'anot, you have to answer. Meaning you have to put yourself in this non-ideal situation. Moshe Chaim, your question is a good question. I want to answer a good answer for you. A lot of many times you'll find inside of halakha, they ask questions that are easily avoidable. You can avoid this situation. You're listening to what they're doing now, so you can just avoid. The question that they're trying to figure out here is not what happens when you get stuck in the situation, but how far can we push this envelope? Let me tell you what I mean. The Torah says you're not allowed to cook on Shabbat. And people say, oh, the rabbis, they exaggerated. They say you can't make tea in a first cup of hot water, but the second cup, maybe the third cup. Why are they getting involved? They're just complicating things.
Tea is very complicated.
Tea, right? It's very complicated. So, Chazal really are trying to answer questions here. The question they're trying to answer, when it says you cannot cook, well, what is the definition of cooking? Is cooking in a hot cup of water in the first cup different than in the second cup? Are the temperatures different? What is the exact temperature that means cooking? Let's say I cook on Shabbat. How hot does the food have to be before I violate the prohibition of cooking on Shabbat? Now what difference does it make? Don't cook on Shabbat, you'll never have to know the answer to this question. But our rabbis want to push, they want to define things clearly. So if you tell me that you're not violating cooking on Shabbat, so long as it didn't reach this level of... So then what do you know? That if a person wants to do tshuva within this time frame, they have enough time. Or you know, what happens if the food wasn't fully cooked before Shabbat? How much are you allowed to cook on Shabbat? You answer questions, then maybe this situation is avoidable. What he's really asking is, so what exactly can I do when I've started wrapping but not finished wrapping? That's what he's trying to answer here. Not that you should get yourself in this situation.
And finish means like, do like that.
Finish means putting it down on your body and wrapping it up.
And you just put it like that. Is it wrapping?
Then, right, okay. So the next halakha is going to be, right here, the next halakha is, so what is considered wrapping of the talit? Let's pretend we know what we're saying until then. So says Rabbi Yosef, you answer the blessings. Now here we're going to use a term, and I'm going to translate it for you now, even though now is not the right time to tell you about it. Many people have the custom that when they wrap their talit, they wrap themselves, as it says, Ka'atifat ha'yishmaelim, the way the Yishmaelim do it. It's part of the mitzvah, to wrap yourself in your talit like the Arabs. You're looking at me funny. We have a halakha, you're supposed to do it like the Arabs. What do I mean?
That's probably Rabbi Ishmael.
What does it mean? What part of the wrapping of the talit are we talking about?
Part of the head, not from the shoulders.
Okay, you know what people do when they, you know what I'm talking about? They put on their head and they hit the person behind them with the tzitzit. Yeah? This thing is called Atifat HaYishmaelim. That's the way the Arabs used to wrap themselves, and they still do with their scarves. Right? They walk in the desert, it doesn't blow away because you have it in different directions. Maybe today they have fancy headgear, but that's what they used to do. That's part of the mitzvah. And it's like that's when you finish doing the mitzvah, when you've wrapped it up like Atifat HaYishmaelim. We're going to talk about that today. I just don't want to talk about it right now. Just assume that that's what he's talking about. Even if a person has not yet had the time to wrap up like a Ishmaeli, rather he just put the talit on his head in order to wrap himself in it. He can answer all of these blessings. This is not at all considered an interruption at this stage. Because once he put the talit on his head, he already started the mitzvah. And in such a situation, you wouldn't have to worry about a hifsek, interruption. Now we have a next custom. We love customs, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Especially when you don't agree with them.
Thank you, Barry. That's what we're getting ourselves into. Some people have a custom, according to the Kabbalists, different ideas, to say all kinds of psukim while they're wrapping themselves up in the talit. You know what I'm talking about? Okay.
That's what's going on now.
I want to share a minhag that I don't want to speak about this minhag in definite terms, because I don't want to say something about a minhag that may actually have very old sources. I just haven't taken the time to look it up. But to me, the minhag doesn't feel right, and therefore I cringe when people do it. There's a custom, and it spreads because, especially among Jews today, we love to adopt other people's customs when they sound cool. Oh, that's nice. I want to do it too. Bad enough he had the custom. Why do you also have to have the custom? But that's how it works. I mean, customs used to go down. Now they're also going sideways. You know, your friends are adopting your customs, but it's not your custom. The whole definition of a custom is you got it from someone before you, not someone who's in the same generation as you. So it's a custom that when they do borei meorei ha'esh, everyone shows they look into the fire, they look at their nails.
Yeah.
And there are people that are saying, "Oh, Zarua la tzaddik, Alev Simcha." There's a hidden light for the tzaddikim. Chevra, you're not allowed to talk. The blessing of Havdalah from Borei Pnei Gefen until Hamavdil ben Kodesh L'Chol, Amen, drink, is one long blessing. You cannot talk, you can't make noise, you can't ask your friend what the weather is, you don't check your cell phone. It's one long blessing. And so the custom of screaming out Or Zarua la tzaddik, it doesn't sit right by me. Now, I'm sure that if I would take out my big, nice book of customs and look it up, they'll tell you that there were many rabbis who did it. Could be. So it's one thing if you have that custom. But to then take that custom from somebody else, when it's a problematic custom, it's an interesting thing. You know who has this problem the most? Sfaradim. We have this problem. We finished reading the Haftarah. Let's leave the Haftarah. You know what I'm talking about then. Let's talk about the Torah. Because Go'aleinu, at least it's a pasuk. Let's talk about the Torah. We say Baruch Hashem Vorach, we read the Torah, then right before we say the blessings, the after blessing of the Torah, many people have a custom to say. No, that's what we say. What do they say? You ever hear people say Emet Torateinu Akdosha? You ever hear this?
No, it's Sephardic.
Yes. You never heard someone do this? Emet Torateinu Akdosha. Okay, it's a Sephardic custom. The problem is that it's interrupting between the Torah reading and the blessing of the Torah reading. You can make your blessing and then say Emet Torateinu Akdosha. True is our holy Torah. But halachically, it's a problem to stick it here. So Chavavadi says like this: those who have the custom have on who to rely. But those who don't have the custom, don't now start doing things that have a question mark on them. Don't adopt it now just because you want to. Sometimes when I say Ashkenazim do it, I correct them. It's out. Some of us have this custom. You don't need to have this custom too. It's good that you don't have this custom. Also, we have to with dancer. We say God. We say the right before we finish the Haftarah, we add another pasuk.
People get passionate about it. You know? I didn't. When I first heard that pasuk, I'm like, oh, that's beautiful.
Oh, okay. So, Bailey, you know that this is, like I told you, it's a little bit more acceptable because one, it's a Haftarah. Two, it's another pasuk. It's not like a random saying.
Yeah.
Right? It is another. It's like adding another pasuk.
Well, but I see what you're saying, though. It's like you get. How can you get rid of these things even when you sometimes just picked it up a couple days ago?
Right.
Like, you know.
Right. So what I do, I'll tell you the truth, is I just let everybody says it out loud anyways. So I let everyone say it. They think I said it. I keep going. I mean, nobody's actually checking if I said it, right? So then do it. Now you're gonna check, huh? Now I'm sure Rabbi Peretz, if he was here, would get angry at me.
Oh, you lip
Where is
sync.
it? Because we were praying against the wall, we don't want to pray to the rabbi's pictures on the wall.
The media's been burgeoning.
Yeah.
Like, it's going up, down, up, down, up, down.
Baruch Hashem.
It's like sacrilege.
I know. Actually, I'll tell you the truth. There is, according to the Kabbalists, when you have a hard time when you learn Torah, it's a true thing. The Zohar mentions, the Chidah writes about it. If you look in many books that rabbis print, you'll find a picture on the front of it. People think it's like they're trying to show off. Like, look at me, it's my nice picture that I just took. And the idea is, it says, your eyes should see your master, your teacher. The Kabbalists say that when you're not sure about a halakha, you should meditate on the face of the one who taught you this Torah, and it will solve itself, it will clear it out. Like you find Yosef. Oh, very good, thank you. Yosef Tzaddik. Yosef, what did he used to do? He used to, when he got in time of Averah, he would think about the face of his father. How can I do this? And it would help him out of a situation. So now you can go down this on a very Kabbalistic road that imagining the face does this to your mind, or on a simple level that, wait, let me try to think what he would say. And that is, it depends if you want to be a rationalist about this or a Kabbalist about it. I was just learning now with my wife, one of the books on Kabbalah from the Hasidim. And we were learning there that they say that this is the reason why many Hasidim go to their Rebbes on the high holidays. It's a time where, like Yosef Tzaddik, they need help to get out of certain situations. And meditating on the face of their tzaddik is a big deal. And so, when the picture's up here, I always look, what would he say? Now that it's over here, I find myself behind the Kiddush cup. I'm trying to...
we can help you out.
Oh, thank you. No, it's okay. Leave it there for now until after Slichot.
Would it have been a problem if that picture was up there? Because I don't see his face and he's facing the wall. Like, that wouldn't
Interesting question.
see any
It's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Really, 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 on the walls of a Bet Knesset, on all the walls, there should not be pictures of anybody or anything. You know who had a big war against this? It's enough, this war got hijacked by the Lubavitcher Rebbe. But in general, in a good way, many rabbis were against the idea of having like lions on our own Kodesh. Because you're not allowed to pray to things. So when I'm bowing down, suddenly I see a lion in front of what's a lion? The Lubavitcher Rebbe,
Different creatures, not
right. The Lubavitcher Rebbe went against this, and he said more than that. Why should I have a not kosher animal inside of a synagogue? Now, if you know about the Lubavitcher Rebbe's approach, he very much tried to stay away from non-kosher animals. Kids shouldn't play with non-kosher animals. This is not a halachic thing, and it's not a Kabbalistic thing. It's a Chabad thing, and if you're a Chabad Chassid, it's a thing you must follow. It's, the Lubavitcher Rebbe said it. But at the very least, it was right regarding not having it in the front of the synagogue. You know who has images in synagogues or in sanctuaries are Christians. Many sects of Christianity have all kinds of animals and beings and who knows what goes on in there. Angels,
Icons.
yeah, all kinds of things. Jews, we have to stay away from these things. And so, you're right, in general, pictures, what can I say? I found old pictures from Europe in old synagogues. Now, I don't know to tell you what the denomination of those synagogues were, but I'm assuming that they were religious synagogues. These beautiful, they used to call them in Ashkenazi Hebrew, they used to call them shivitis, believe it or not, ironically. Shivisi, it was called. It was a picture that said on it, Shiviti Hashem L'negdi Tamid. I imagined before my eyes God. And they would have a lot of times a menorah in there. The Mishnah Berurah writes how it used to be very often on parchment. And in very wealthy Ashkenazi communities, they had like deer on it, and birds, and peacocks, and all kinds of animals in it. So I don't know to tell you that it's asul, it's actually forbidden. But you have communities clearly that did such things. I was in a synagogue in Poland that was built by, there was a duke, and his son converted to Judaism. I couldn't make up the story, I don't remember where it was, I could look at my itinerary. And this duke was so proud of his son, he didn't want to fight him, which is a rare thing 200 years ago in Europe. He actually built him a synagogue on his own palace grounds. You've never, a beautiful place. Although very Eastern European, not what you and I might consider beautiful, like green and yellow and pink and purple and all kinds of wonderful colors, but animals everywhere. Animals and birds and lions and dogs and all kinds of animals. So clearly the Jews have done such things, but Chacham Ovadia Yosef once had to answer a question. Ironically, I don't remember the answer to the question. Is there a small slichot book on the table with a picture of Rabbi Ovadia Yosef? You see it? Oh, thank you. Many books in Israel look like this. It's a prayer book with Rabbi Ovadia on it, or the Ben Ish Chai, or Baba Sali, or whoever else. It's how you get the people to buy the book, because they want the picture of the rabbi. The question was, are you allowed to pray mincha with a book that has a picture of the rabbi on it?
But the book is open, or you don't see.
Or it's like this. Sometimes people close their book and they pray. The best part, I believe the question was worded, Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, are we allowed to pray with the prayer book that has your picture on it? That's interesting. I don't remember the answer he gave. I remember something like, if it's open or something like that.
Probably said it could be worse.
But could be worse. But these things happen. There are things that happen a lot, and we have to know to be ready for them. There are questions that come up. Why am I telling you all of this right now? How did we get here from Tzitzit? Oh, customs. So people who say psukim, it's bad enough that people did such things, but now that we could fix certain things, it's okay to fix them. People have a big deal with changing customs, because are you trying to pretend you're holier than the people before you? Well, if you are, it's a problem. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is say that maybe in the previous generation they had a struggle about something that we don't struggle with anymore. And so now we're able to, maybe the rabbis then said it's not worth the battle. But it's not that they agreed with the custom, they just didn't fight it because it wasn't worth it. But now that war is over, just give it up already. When you read books about the rabbinate in America in the 50s, 60s, 70s, what they had to fight for mechitzot, and to have men and women, even get dressed when they come to synagogue, and that people shouldn't be dancing balls inside of the synagogue. But Orthodox synagogues, we're not talking here about something else. When's the last time somebody came to the rabbi and said, Rabbi, we would like to have at the Rosh Hashanah dinner mixed dancing ball? When does it happen? No, we're past these things. So someone can tell me, it used to be, and someone once came, it used to be in Orthodox synagogues in America, men and women even sat together. It's true, but that wasn't a proud point in our history. And so to say that, we don't have that problem really anymore. Today you have plenty of mechitot that they have one-way glass, you have balconies that you can see from, you have all kinds of nice mechitot that don't make people feel like they're stuck behind a curtain 2 rooms down the hall. It's a Baruch Hashem, it seems like people have kind of calmed down a little bit on certain issues. Now, every synagogue has its own problems with these things. In my experience, certain battles are over, and so to say, they used to do it, it's not always approved. So when you see certain customs, if you don't have it, don't start it now. So with this custom of saying psukim,
let me ask you.
Yeah.
Lady is sitting in the buggy. Man down, you can look at the lady. Okay?
Oh. Eli asked a good question.
What is the question?
It's like some synagogue, it's a lot of the big synagogue, expensive synagogue. Man is down, lady is sitting in the balcony. You can look at the lady high.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they're very visible that way because you can see them as a group.
There are many synagogues. Well, to answer this question, Eli, I have to tell you a lot about mechitzot, which is not within the scope of today's discussion. But not every mechitzah in the world that you've seen is a kosher mechitzah. It's an argument whether mechitzot are rabbinic in origin. Some rabbis went so far as to try to convince me that it's biblical in origin. Okay, let's put aside all extremes in this story. Some rabbis say, no, mechitzah only has to be this high onto the floor so you could trip over it, but it doesn't have to... let's ignore the extremes and let's talk about simple understanding of mechitzah. Mechitzah has to have 2 purposes. One, to physically separate men and women from each other so that they could focus on tefillah. And 2, to with their eyes, not have contact. What's the mechitzah in the synagogue, and all they did the whole time in tefillah, the people were leaning on the mechitzah talking to each other through the mechitzah. Okay, this mechitzah, by its definition, shows you it's not kosher because it didn't accomplish the task of what a mechitzah is supposed to do. Rav Peretz adds in a 3rd requirement of a mechitzah, that a mechitzah should be able to be moved or opened, so that when the rabbi speaks, or certain parts of tefillah that a lady doesn't need to be a separation, the lady shouldn't always be stuck behind the mechitzah. You have to think. Now, we're going to be designing new things. We have to think, what if I was in someone else's seat? How would I feel when I'm in the certain place? You ever wonder what the ladies feel like? I once had to sit in his Zlat Nashim. And you spend 3 hours looking at a curtain. You don't see the Torah reading. You don't see the Torah coming out. You don't see all kinds of things. Which is why those of you who know me, when the Torah comes out, we always just open mechitzot. And when the Torah comes by, we open mechitzot. And when the bar mitzvah happens, it's not the end of the world. That mother who's hiding, she's looking between the cracks. Nobody has to go shove her. And there are times when mechitzah has to be closed. Shema Yisrael, mechitzah has to be closed. During the Torah reading, mechitzah has to be closed. Shema Yisrael, mechitzah should be closed. We have halachot. We're not here forging our Judaism. It's not a counterfeit. But to think about these things. So in certain synagogues, the mechitzah was put in the middle of the room. Some synagogues, they have a curtain that goes from one side of the room to the other. Some synagogues, I was in Jerusalem in a synagogue, I'm not exaggerating too, there was a mechitzah with a hole in it, one hole in it, maybe this big, like the size of a cup. You could look inside, and people would take turns looking through the hole.
Oh, great.
You have in Jerusalem, in the Kotel, I don't know if you know this, but in the Kotel, there's a tunnel on the left side. Don't talk about this. It's a tunnel. You can go inside and pray. Yeah. There is a ladies section in there that nobody knows about because it's not meant for everyone to know about it. But there's a 2nd floor, and you'll see a big pane of glass, dark glass. You can't see anything in there. But it's one-way glass. And the ladies on the other side don't even feel, all they see is a clear window. It's clear on the other side. So they feel like they're at their son's bar mitzvah in the kotel, in the synagogue, but it accomplished both things. It kept the separation, And it also kept the people are saying, now, can the ladies see the men? Already you're getting yourself into waters which people haven't defined, because normally that's not the problem. It's not normally the ladies who are coming to the B'knesset to check out the men. It's sometimes always the other way around. So second floor or a balcony. Chacham Mordechai Eliyahu used to say that if you look at all the old Sephardic synagogues and many old Ashkenazi synagogues, the women were always on a balcony. And Rav Mordechai used to say, because it's not fair to put the ladies on a side or in a corner. He said the ladies are like a crown. That's what Mordechai said. The crown on our head. And so they're at a balcony. There's a synagogue in Jerusalem called the Churva Synagogue, which literally means the destroyed synagogue. But they rebuilt it a few years ago, like 8 years ago, 6 years ago.
It used to be the big arch.
Right, it was the big arch in Jerusalem. Now it's a big synagogue. The ladies section is maybe 4 flights up. But it's true, it would be nicer if you had a second floor to put the ladies in the mechubad place. And Eli, if it's done in a way that's smart, that you're standing here and you don't see the ladies, it's okay. Some Beit Knesset, though, it's not done so smartly. Yeah, if you're in a certain place in the Beit Knesset and you're in a certain height, you're looking right at the whole, and at worst, you're looking at a bad angle.
There's really no way to make a balcony totally invisible to men in a big show, because you can find some place in the synagogue where you're going to be able to see everything.
You're right. Some place in the synagogue is different than most places in the synagogue.
But that balcony is very high.
I don't know. I'm not talking about any. Oh, in Jerusalem.
I took the tour of the.
But like in New York, my brother's synagogue, it's a modern Orthodox synagogue, but very old. It's like 150 years old, and they have a second floor, and the ladies see everything because the way it is, they're looking down over the railing. It goes all around the 4 corners of the synagogue. But when you look up, maybe you'll see a few strands that you don't actually see the ladies in the. A smart way to do everything. I was in the synagogue and the mechitzot they're glass, but not one-way glass. They're what we call two-way glass. You understand? I want to judge them favorably. They signed up for the two-way glass mechitza.
Wow.
And not only was it a two-way glass mechitza, but rather it was quite short. Meaning, if you stand up and they stand up, the mechitza goes up to your waist.
In the Chabad script ranks, they used to have like fake trees, like lush together, like a tilly. Is that kosher?
Listen, in every place you have to say the rabbi knows what he's doing or he doesn't know what he's doing. In Chabad, I believe they knew what they were doing. Many places have used these trees as an excuse. My brother used to have a minyan in Hillel in Santa Barbara. They used to rent a second floor, and it was called the Conservadox minyan. Conservadox, meaning they were conservative kids that were becoming Orthodox because they wanted to make their parents mad at them, and other people did it by dyeing their hair purple, and they did it by keeping Shabbat. That was each one in their extremes. And the problem was their contract with Hillel explicitly stated that they could not have a mechitza in their minyan. Because they're an egalitarian organization, and they refused to separate between men and women.
What year was this?
I don't know what year, but I don't know, how long has he been out of school for? He's in his 30s today, so a while ago.
Yeah.
They've been back 2001.
Yeah, that would be the end. Right. So, what they did was, they asked for permission. Are we allowed to decorate the synagogue? Sure. So they went, and they got trees, real trees. And they put them all over the shul, and also in the middle of the shul. And when they came to scream at them, that we're not in violation of, we didn't put up a mechitza. We just all decided that we love trees in our sanctuary. And so they separated between men and women with the trees. Truth is that trees don't really belong in a Beit Knesset. That's the truth. And there are verses in the Tanakh explicitly saying such things. So much so that some rabbis have an opinion. It seems like Shulchan Aruch has this opinion that you're not even allowed to have a tree in the courtyard of the synagogue. So, fake trees, is that better or is it worse? I don't know. But it's a good question. The truth is, though, that it works. For a mechitza, I'm assuming that it's better than the other options they had, so you can go ahead with it, B'ezrat Hashem. But I don't take any responsibility for how ugly fake trees look when you look up at them close. No question.